So I was wondering if you could tell me briefly about your past history in sourcing venture capital.
So we started Triggit about 5 years ago. We worked with about 15 angel and VCs over the first kind of 3.5, 4 years of our existence. The first venture capital we sourced was actually in convertible debt, so it wasn't in a round, it was in debt. And then we just recently closed a round of venture capital from Foundry and Spark Capital. We raised about $4.5 million.
Congratulations.
And you know, it's been a journey, to say the least.
Right.
Talked to many VCs and closed very few.
Right. So a lot of time this has taken to get that amount of money. What personal lessons, being a woman, have you taken out of your successes and or failures in that regard?
Well, just in raising money in general, I think that the core lesson is you just have to be profoundly resilient and you have to be okay with failure. Because 90% of the people you talk to are going to say no.
Right.
They'll say that your idea is bad, or that you have no experience and therefore, you know, you can't execute on this vision of yours, and you know, you don't have any revenue now, why will you have revenue in the future? But you know, we've probably talked to literally, you know, 10 times as many angels and VCs as we've actually raised money from. And they just, you know, they give you all of the excuses that you kind of hear in the book, you know, maybe in a month or maybe in 3 months. But in the end, you know, if you're continually resilient, you can find a good match. And when you find a good match, when you find someone who's really passionate about your idea, then that they're excited, it makes it very easy to work alongside them and work with them, and then very easy to close the deal and actually raise the money.
Brilliant. And did you note during those fundraising rounds, did you note any sort of reactions or biases or anything like that towards you being a co-founder as a woman?
I think that the reaction was more often because I started to come with my brother, and because it's a family affair, than it was in that I was a woman, or that was a piece of the puzzle. It was more, you know, are you too sure you enjoy working together? Like your brother and sister. And then they see us kind of interact, and Zach and I have a fantastic relationship. And so it definitely, I never really felt that being a woman was the piece. It was always working with my brother, or that we're siblings, or that we're family.
Right. What attitudes towards you being female have you noted from venture capitalists when you've been sourcing venture?
So I think with venture capitalists, when we're sourcing venture, when we're actually at meetings, I don't really see any negative, derogatory.
Right.
However, when we're at networking events and I meet a venture capitalist, oftentimes women are not necessarily seen as the founders or co-founders of company. And so when I say, yeah, I'm the co-founder of Triggit, and especially when they already know of Triggit, sometimes they're like, oh. Like, you're not just a girlfriend or a wife or here for the ride.
Or a hanger-on.
Exactly. So I think the reaction that I see at networking events when I say, yeah, I'm the co-founder of this company is far more marked than it is when I'm actually in a meeting or with a VC. And that is very, very noticeable.
And very interesting. Thank you. What qualities do you think women entrepreneurs need specifically for sourcing venture? And I know from what you've said that your brother does most of that sourcing of the venture. But you must also have worked out what a woman would need if she was
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, perseverance and a willingness to ask for money.
Right.
I think that like the majority of entrepreneurs, both men and women, I think the reason that Zach is so good in what I've learned from Zach watching him raise money is you have to be willing to ask for money. And you have to be willing to have someone say no, and then you'll still go back and ask them for money again later. And not be afraid. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, most prolific fundraiser currently in politics, is a woman. And she just asks for money, and then of course leverages it correctly so that it's useful. But I think asking.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I've actually heard from another woman entrepreneur that I interviewed who said that women don't like to ask for money.
I don't like to ask for money.
Okay. So what do you think that's about? That if a lot of women don't like to ask for money?
I don't know that that's a woman thing. I think that it's I think that it's just a hard thing in general. A lot of people that are especially doers and that are stubborn, like I can do this myself, I can get this done.
Okay.
To ask for money is to ask, you know, someone has to give you something, and then suddenly like you give up some of your control and some of your ownership. And so yeah, absolutely. But I think and so and you know that ability to say, you know, not only am I asking you for money, but when you give it to me, I might lose it. I think is a hard nut to swallow.
Yeah, and again, I've had feedback that women would find that part very difficult because, as one woman venture capitalist said to me, women like to know that they're going to actually deliver everything they say rather than just promise the earth and not deliver.
More often, I think.
Okay.
That's absolutely true.
Interesting.